Hi everyone. In today's lessons, you're gonna learn about defining and non-defining relative clauses. So let's start with what a relative clause is. Let's have a look at the following example. The woman who called me is my sister. So the relative clause in this case is who called me. And a relative clause always starts with a relative pronoun, like who, which, and so on. There are two types of relative clauses: defining and non-defining. Now let's shed light on the difference between defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. So let's start with defining relative clauses. In sentence 1 we have people who do physical exercise live longer. Sentence 2, John stopped the car which was driving past. The relative clauses in both sentences, which are of course who do physical exercise and which was driving past, the relative clauses in both sentences are defining because they give essential and important information about the noun that comes before, in this case people, and the car. And if these relative clauses are left out, we won't be able to understand which car or people we are talking about. On the other hand, let's have a look at the following example. Tom, who is 40, is a doctor. And in the following example, we have a non-defining relative clause because it gives just extra information, additional information about the noun, and this information is not necessary to explain which person or thing we are talking about. Notice that we all the time use a comma between the noun and the relative clause, and also we put another comma at the end of the relative clause. Now, when we use a defining relative clause, the relative pronoun can be the subject or the object of the clause. Let's have a look at the following examples. I have a friend who plays football. The relative pronoun in this case is who. And when the verb follows the relative pronoun in this case is the subject of the clause. The subject of the clause. Let's have a look at the second example. This is the woman that I met at the party. The relative pronoun here is that, and when there is a pronoun or a noun between the verb and the relative pronoun, the latter is the object of the clause. And when the relative pronoun is the object of the clause, we can use a zero relative pronoun. So we can say, she showed me the books she had brought back from England.